Hello and welcome back to Memories of a Musician. I'm your host, Vito DeSalvo. Tonight we have a wonderful program for you with a very special guest and a great friend of mine, Filippo Voltaggio. He is not Irish, I can tell you that. Filippo and I met many years ago. In fact, he reminded me that we were actually, our company was selling his CDs, his recordings of Italian music before we actually met face to face. And then we started meeting. This is many, many years ago. We finally met face to face at some of the Italian festivals in different parts of the country, and particularly Milwaukee. Several times we met there because we both performed at the Milwaukee Festival several times. And just to show you, I have a picture of myself with Filippo. This is in Milwaukee and backstage, one of the dressing rooms or whatever. And this is probably in the early 2000s, my guess. And then I have this picture, and this is the whole gang here. You see myself on the far left with my wife, Lana, next to me, then Filippo. And next to Filippo is that young lady is Dick Contino's daughter. If you're not familiar, Dick Contino was a famous and very, phenomenal accordionist. And he played this festival for years and years. And he just passed away a couple of years ago. I believe he was well in his 80s, but it was a great accordionist. And next to, forgive me, but I don't remember her first name. Maybe Filippo will. And then next to her is Chef Richard Lombardi, who had, a show with Filippo. They did a radio program way, way, way back. And then it became a TV program. And then next to the chef is my good friend Elio Scaccio, who was one of the Sicilian tenors. And the Sicilian tenors this particular year, this picture was probably in around 2015, 16, I don't know, something like that. And the tenors were performing there, and we were all in the lobby of the hotel where all the musicians would hang out. So I had those couple of pictures which I wanted to show you. And then I have a little excerpt of a video that I'd like to play. And you're going to know the song, so I'm not going to tell you what it is, but we'll see a little performance here by Filippo. And so here we go. Let's go.
Hey mambo, mambo italiano, hey mambo, mambo italiano, Coco Joe, mixed up Siciliano, all you calabrese do the mambo like a crazy with a hey mambo, no water tarantella, hey mambo, no more mozzarella, hey mambo, mambo italiano, try an enchilada with the fish of bacala, hey gumba. You're gonna have to dance a rumba, but take some advice, paisano. Learn how to mambo. If you're gonna be a square, you ain't gonna go nowhere. Hey mambo, mambo italiano. Hey mambo, mambo italiano. Filippo, a mixed up Siciliano. You don't have to go to school. Just make it with your feet, bambino. It's like a vino. Get you good at looking, but you don't know what's cooking till ya mambo, mambo. Hey mambo, mambo italiano. Hey mambo, mambo italiano. Hey mambo, mambo italiano. Filippo, of Siciliano, mambo Italiano, mambo.
Hey, there you go. That's great. Yeah. And you'll notice as you go through our program, and once I bring Filippo onto the show, and I have some other videos, and you'll notice that he's always got a live orchestra behind him, a big orchestra too, not just, a trio. So it's wonderful. I need to ask him how he was able to manage to do that, because that's not easy to do these days, even in the 2000s, So I'm going to read a little bit about his background before I bring him on. Filippo Voltaggio, author, speaker, life coach, and TV and radio host, has incorporated the years of experience from being in front of, behind, and on the little screen, the big screen, and live stages into everything he does. His passion has become incorporating all his gifts and using them for the good of many. From his singing, writing, hosting, or one-on-ones to many-on-ones, Filippo brings it all together to create a unique experience, all his own, for all to make their own. From his acclaimed radio shows and TV and film appearances and performances to his experiences in the world of business, working for a Fortune top 3 company and later owning a boutique entertainment agency, to his study of human psychology and esoteric arts, Filippo has seen and experienced and learned so much about the human condition and the struggle to being our authentic selves. Filippo is a recent recipient of the President's Call to Service Award from President Barack Obama and is listed in the Cambridge Book of Who's Who. After receiving a degree in the Bachelor of the Arts from USCD in Engineering Management and being decorated in his business career with top awards and honors, Filippo went on to study the field of energetic healing and become an energetic alchemist, master and teacher, a Reiki master and teacher, a Theta practitioner healer, and a reconnective healer, and an ordained minister. How fitting to note that an interpretation of his name, Filippo Voltaggio, is love voltage, the electricity of love. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, let me bring onto the program Filippo Voltaggio, and there he is.
Ciao, Vito.
Wow. You're a man of many faces, I can say that.
I didn't know you were going to share all that. I thought I had taken most of that down. I go much simpler these days.
It's good. I want the audience to really know who you are. See that? It's great to see you and to connect again. It's been a few years, not too many, but a few.
Great to see you too. Always great to see you. And before the show, I got to see your wife too, Lana, and that was special.
And also, I wanted to mention, because I mentioned about you hosting, and you host a program called Life Changes every week, and you're on episode, 863 maybe, or
878 this week.
78 this week, 800.
And you were on almost exactly a year ago, December last year.
Okay. Yeah, I was a guest on Filippo's show. And
it's a pleasure.
Yeah, a year ago. That's right.
And you said at the time, I'm thinking of starting a podcast.
Yeah.
I'm thinking. And then I think by the time that we were done, you said, I'm going to do it, Filippo. I'm going to do it, and I'm going to have you on. And look at you. How many episodes now?
You are 49.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and it's just a year. It's already a year. I started mid-January of 25, so we're at a year point. I had taken a few weeks off because we went up to see our family up north and things like that. And you are in Los Angeles, is that right?
I am
Where you think you're home?
so I'm in a sweater and you're in short sleeve shirts in Florida, Naples.
Well, I'm just glad I'm not where I came from, which is Pittsburgh.
That's right.
Expecting, I think, 10 inches of snow over the weekend.
Yeah.
And it's cold. I mean, well, it is what it is. I lived there 70 years, so I know what it's like. So I'm happy to be in the sunshine every day and the warmth. It's nice. It's interesting. I was going through all your videos and I noticed no matter what I found, and I even found some, you had sent me some, but I also did some digging on my own. And I found some in every video, you have an orchestra behind you, like strings and the whole full orchestra, rhythm section. And that one excerpt I played from Mambo had a mandolin in there. And then, you always have, how do you manage to do that? That's expensive, really.
It hasn't been always. And as you know, it never is, and nothing's ever always. So I definitely say that I performed with smaller bands more than the bigger bands in the orchestra. And it's interesting because some of the things you mentioned about the energy and stuff like that, and then you mentioned Dick Cantino, and I'll say why I'm tying this all in together real quickly. But first of all, Deidre Cantino,
Right,
yes,
right.
And Dick Cantino. So Dick Cantino also, he performs with orchestras, and then he'd also perform by himself, right? And then he'd tell the band to take a break, and then he'd perform by himself. And I remember I was doing Filippo and the Chef, which is what I did with Richard Lombardi. That's the show we started on radio. And I wanted to interview him. And a lot of people were interviewing him. And I overheard him talking to them about, he performed for the king and the queen and the this and the yes and the president. And yes, I've done this, I've done that. That was his story. And then when it came to me, and this was outside after one of his concerts. And then it came to me and he says, you come with me and my wife. We're going to go in the dressing room and then you'll have the interview in there. I'm like, okay, maybe he's tired. Maybe, I don't know. We go in the dressing room, we sit down and he said, okay, tell me what you want to know. And I said, wow, I didn't know you perform with kings and queens. He says, that's not what you're interested in. And I said, I'm not. He said, no, ask me what you're interested in. And I said something to the effect of, something happens when you're standing there by yourself and you are connecting with people in a way that very few people can. He says, that's what you're asking me. I knew it. Let me tell you, Filippo. And he said, I'm not performing. I am putting love through my instrument. And while I'm standing on that stage, I have an opportunity to share love with these people. And they love me right back. And so he says, they feel me, I feel them, and it just flows. And that's what you're feeling. And he says, you get that, you have everything. So whether it's a full, so that I remembered that, something to that effect, he said, I remembered that. And so whether it's a full orchestra or by myself, right? Yeah. We have the opportunity, or with great musicians like yourself and all the people that I've gotten to work with, it's an opportunity, whatever I do, including this moment with you, to do that.
Yeah, connect. Yep. I have an interesting story about Dick Cantino too, because when I was growing up, when I was a little kid, it was the first record album that I got was Dick Cantino. Now, you got to realize I started playing the accordion when I was 4 years old. And so by the time I was like 7 or 8, I don't know, my parents bought an album and it was Dick Cantino. And so I listened to him from the time I was probably 8 years old. And when we were playing Milwaukee, he was on the same stage that I was, that my group was, We Three. And so I was standing backstage and I had the the stage door cracked open so I could listen to him, And when he walked off, when his show was over and he walked off, I opened the door for him and he came out. I said, Mr. Contino, I said, it was a wonderful show. He said, thank you. I says, I have an album, my very first album. I said, and I went like this, like opening the accordion. I said, and you're standing there at twilight time. And he goes, I made that album 61 years ago. He didn't hesitate 1 second. He was 80 years old at the time. He says,
Wow.
yeah, he said, I made that album 61 years ago. I'm like, wow.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a wow moment, for sure. But that was it, twilight time, and it just boom,
Wow.
So let me ask you a question. When did you start studying music? You just heard me. I was 4 years old. But when did you start studying music? And what did you have an instrument, or did you start with voice? Voice, of course, is an instrument. But how did you get started in music?
My parents used to tell the story that they would put me on the table to sing for their guests.
Oh.
And growing up Italian and I Italian American, the table was everything, right? So everybody was seated around the table, festas or Sunday, whatever it is. And I don't remember, but that they said I would love to do that. And so I, as a child, singing, it meant something to me, and I didn't know what it was. And growing up, I wanted a piano. My parents got me an organ and eventually a piano. I studied violin in school for many years. Never got good at it. It definitely wasn't my instrument, but that's okay because it taught me a lot of things. So yeah, music has always been a part of my life. And then I studied piano, and then I eventually studied voice, and I started studying classically, and I started singing opera. But I tell you, and I also had my schooling and got my degree and started working, like you mentioned in the bio, for a company, and did that for many years. And when I left that to give music a go, the first thing out of my mouth was Italian music.
Wow.
I grew up, I was born and raised in America, but the music that wanted to come out was Italian at the time.
I can relate.
Right?
I can relate. So when did music really become a passion for you, would you say?
I would say it's always been a passion, and I have a lot of respect for music, and I appreciate a lot of different kinds of music. And I still champion music, as you know, on our show, and I still perform, and I still help people get jobs and promote people where I can. So it has always been a big part of my life, and I can't imagine life without it. And though we all have music in our lives, whether we want to or not, because there's music in the store and at the restaurants, et cetera, having an understanding and appreciation for it is and a respect for it is a different thing. And I think we all could do well with that. A little bit more respect for music and appreciation for the musicians and those who have created it and continue to.
That's for sure. I agree 100%. Yep. Now, I have a video from KTLA Morning News, and you're singing the song Domani, which means tomorrow, right?
Yep.
Tell me about that appearance, and then I can play the video. Or would you like to play the video and
I started a band in Los Angeles with Paul Frederick, the band leader and saxophone player, who's actually Paul Federico. His grandfather, his whole family, his grandfather and his father, and he, all musical, and his grandfather could tell us stories. God bless him, of course, he's gone now. But from back in New York, back in the day with the big bands and all of that. So I had the benefit of so many of those stories and experiences. So Paul's aunt worked for KTLA. She got us into that. But the fun thing about it is we were called La Dolce Vita. Again, everything was Italian. I just couldn't help myself.
The sweet life, huh?
The sweet life.
All right. Let me play this video here that we could show.
Been compared to Julio Iglesias and Frank Sinatra, maybe a cross between the two, performing with La Dolce Vita. Is Filippo Voltaggio. Welcome. Good morning.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
We've been listening to you all morning. It's the most romantic music. It's beautiful. Not to mention, we could dance. We could get romantic. What made someone? I mean, this is a young man I'm talking to here, very young. What made you so interested in this kind of music?
I grew up listening to this kind of music, and my parents used to put me on the table of their kitchen and have me entertain their guests, and it's something that speaks from my soul.
I want to say some of the songs, I should let you know what we're talking about here. Some of the songs from Filippo's CD, Arrivederci Roma. You know, old songs that we remember from, and Mona Lisa, we remember from some of the old movies. And I could chat all morning, but since we've been talking too much all morning, I'm going to let you sing so people can hear that. Here we go.
Domani, forget the money. Let's live for now, and anyhow, who needs the money? The moonlight, let's share the moonlight. Perhaps together we will never be again. Oh, que luna, oh, que mare, with such a moon and such a sea, and you with me. I get so dizzy when you're standing near. It's not the music that you hear. My heart is beating like a jungle drum. Let's take the minutes as they fade away and hope it's true what people say. When you're in love, the money never comes.
There you go. Little excerpt there. That's great. Nice band. Yeah, cooking.
Yeah, and all these years later, Paul has started to. He wants to form the band again. I'm like, what band? I mean, seriously. But there's. It's fun. It's fun. Well, look at you. You're no matter what, it's music with you, Vito. Here we are talking music.
Oh yeah. It's hard to let it go, you know.
You can't. And with what you know and who you know, I'm so glad you're doing this. Just saying. By the way, show number 49 in numerology, if you add the 4 and the 9 together, you get 13, and that's the luckiest number in Italy.
Yeah. And
So-
guess what my wife's mother, my mother-in-law's maiden name is? Tredici.
Oh, wow. 13. Wow.
Yeah, it's her maiden name.
Interesting. Okay. Nice. Well, it must be lucky because God bless her. She's doing well, right?
She is. She's outlived just about everybody in her generation, you know? Yeah, it's good. So let me ask you, you interviewed, this is a pretty famous actor and producer, Penny Marshall.
Huh.
Was she the daughter of Gary Marshall?
The sister.
Sister of Gary
Yeah.
Marshall. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, tell us about that. And I do have a short video. I want to play that too.
I'm trying to remember what their actual Italian name is. They're Italian.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes, they're Italian, and they grew up in the Bronx or in the Italian. She even, maybe it's on the interview clip you have, I don't know, but she talks about the actual street where she grew up, which was where all the Italians grew up. Absolutely. I don't remember, like like Federico changed his name to Frederick, like so many did. I don't remember where in the family they changed their name to Marshall. Without getting into it, it's interesting how many people had to change their name in order to work and
work.
Right. So
my grandfather on my mother's father. Yeah, my mother grew up as Anne Frank, and her real name was Frangischillo.
Wow.
And she had a brother Frank, so his name was Frank. But they changed, and for the exact reason that you said, because when her father came to America was at the turn of the 20th century, and Italians couldn't get work with an Italian name, so they changed it.
So many people don't know those things, and actually, for the most part, at least when we were children, my parents tried to shield us from the knowledge of a lot of that. And as a matter of fact, my given name is Philip, and because though I'm named after my grandfather, and that was not only very big in our family, but our culture.
Sure.
They wanted, well, in a sense, I had my name changed for the same reason. Not for work per se, but my parents wanted us to be Americans, and to also grow up and have all the opportunities.
Sure.
And so they thought that with a name like Filippo, the kids would make fun of me, and so because it was a foreign name, and so they named me Philip. So that was what they did. So I mentioned that because they shielded us from a lot of the stories, and then eventually, as we started asking, why this and why that, and I remember the very first time I sang for the National Italian American Foundation in Washington, D.C. You've been there, right? So, many times actually. So big event, right? Everybody's there. The President of the United States comes, and dignitaries and all these celebrities and judges, Supreme Court judges. So many people are there.
Everybody, yeah.
And I was sitting in the front row in the table, and the cameras were there and all that, and I was being photographed along with everybody I was sitting with. I was going to be singing, and then a woman got up and shared a story, and then shared a slide. And she had just written a book or something and was being honored, and she shared a slide. And I looked at that slide, and I looked at the people at the table, and I said, what's that? I said, is that real? And at the table, everybody said, yeah, you don't know? I said, no, I didn't know. And I just started to cry. And what the slide said is, help wanted. Italians need not apply.
Oh, yeah.
It was a picture on a store window, of a store window with a sign. And I thought that was my parents who were immigrants, right? That was my parents. That was my uncles, and it was my family.
Sure.
And I called my father after, and the reason I mentioned the photos, because on the photos they started taking pictures at that point, and there was me like literally sobbing because all of a sudden everything's Italian, and I'm singing about the fun stuff and telling the funny stories and all that stuff. And thankfully I have those stories, but there were other stories that for the most part I was shielded from. And then I wanted to know as much as I could know, and I would share and all of that. So having said that, Penny Marshall, back to Penny Marshall, they changed their names. She had stories as well, which she didn't share, but we did talk before the show. Fascinating. Books have been written, and books can be written, people that know a lot more than I do, but for some reason I felt that needed to come up today. Thank you for letting me bring that up.
Okay, let me play this.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm standing next to Miss Penny Marshall.
In the flesh, I asked her, you know, there's a line that I can't, it sticks in my mind from Laverne and Shirley, and that was, Betty, pick up, and she says, that's not the line.
No, it's Betty Please, pick up, which is from actually Hamburger Hamlet. Have any of you ever eaten a Hamburger Hamlet? Which is not Italian at all. It's just having a good number 11 burger right there. But I heard it in the Hamburger Hamlet. Betty, please, pick up. Betty, please. So when we did one episode of the show, I kept calling Cindy, Shirley, Betty, please, pick up. She said, my name's not Betty, but I like the way it sounded. Better than Shirley, please.
Help me thank Penny Marshall for being a great sport with that. Grazie, Penny. So, what made you get into directing and producing? Because you were doing such beautiful work as an actress, and you continue to do it. But
Well, they asked me. I didn't say, oh, excuse me. They asked me. I think they saw I was having lunch, dinner with somebody who, when they were firing the director, so I ended up taking over with no practice, with no anything, and no knowledge. But it's a survival game.
and you become one of the most famous Italian, yes, but women directors and producers. Ladies and gentlemen, Penny Marshall, thank you so much.
There you go. That was cool.
You know, I was laughing in the middle of that because actually in the screen you see somebody walk in for a moment, and it's amazing how any of this actually in music, you know, Vito, as much as anybody else, it's amazing sometimes with the stories and the dramas and the things that go on backstage. It's a wonder that any show gets produced and is as good as it is sometimes. But as you're showing me these clips, so the first thing I thought of, like when you showed the Mambo Italiano, I'm like, oh my gosh, I was so sick that day. I mean, I think the performance is great. I'm not making an excuse for my performance. I just remember, like, I was so sick. I was which you couldn't do today, you know, because so many people are worried about getting sick or whatever. But I had a fever, and I was doing that, and you know, the show must go on, right? So then the second clip you showed, I closed my eyes, like, what was I trying to be romantic or something? I'm like, oh no, that's right, I was asleep. To do that, we had to wake up at like 4 something in the morning in order to get to the studio. And then this is a 7 o'clock show, I think, here in LA. So we were so exhausted and sleepy, all of us. And now the guy that walked in was telling me and I actually am surprised I didn't react too much. He was telling me they lost the song, like the song I was supposed to sing to Penny Marshall. I don't know if it was they or they didn't have it or nobody gave it to. I gave them several CDs. I don't know what happened. At the time, that's how we did it. And so I ended up singing that song, but she was so gracious because they still had to. A long time took, so we tried to, you know, make up time, and it was just and now I look at it, and without people knowing the story, it's a wonderful thing. But you know, the stories sometimes behind the scenes,
yeah, for sure,
are better than the movies, so to speak.
Yeah. And actually, it's not so abnormal. I mean, that happens a lot,
all the time,
right? Yeah. Just when you think you have it down, and then something comes up to turn it around.
And you plan perfectly, you rehearse, you know, and then something, which is interesting because when you were reading the bio, it reminded me how becoming a life coach doing workshops and supporting people, doing the Life Changes show for that matter, to me, it was exactly like these stories, because somebody will come and say, you can't believe what happened in my business. You can't believe what happened in my relationship, or you can't believe. And I say, I can believe. And because in a performance, sometimes it's more dramatic. Like if something happens on stage and it's live, thousands of people see it, right? You can't hide it, right? So if something happens in our private lives, hopefully thousands of people don't see it. But do things happen? All the time. So it's what we do with it, right? And how we move forward. So having had not only those experiences, but experiences of so many great artists who have shared with me stories, you know, backstage, on stage, on the plane to the way to the show, I hear all these stories, and I've gotten such a great feel for life. This is life. It's not something that just happened to you. This is life. And so what do we do with it?
Yes, that's right. Yeah. Well, you're doing a great job with it, I can tell you that.
Yeah. Thank you.
And I think almost everyone has heard of the great tenor and song stylist and actor, Sergio Franchi, right?
Yeah.
And what a great tenor voice he had.
Yeah.
And though he passed away many years ago, his wife, Eva, has carried on many things in his memory, including starting the Sergio Franchi Music Foundation.
Right.
And I have a video of you performing at the foundation. Yeah, let me find this and play this for you here for the audience.
Guess who's coming? You all know Filippo Voltaggio? Yeah. Welcome him, ladies and gentlemen. How many years, Filippo? 10? 12 years. And his hair is, oh, but I give it to you this time. I let mine grow. I think we are the same length. Come here. Ladies and gentlemen. Filippo Voltaggio, I don't have to tell you, he'll entertain you. Enjoy him.
Ma che si dice? Can I sing now? Everybody loves somebody sometime. Everybody falls in love somehow. Something in your kiss just told me my sometime is now. Everybody finds somebody someplace. There's no telling where love may appear. Something in my heart keeps saying my someplace is here. If I had it in my power, I'd arrange for every girl to have your charm. Then every minute, every hour, every boy would find what I found in your arms. Everybody loves somebody sometime. And although my dream was overdue, your love made it well worth waiting for someone like you.
There you go. A couple things. I wondered about, what made you select that song. Number two, Didn't Ava also have like a contest every year for tenors or something like that? Does she still do that? Is that still?
No, as of a few years ago, during the pandemic, a lot happened,
Yeah.
and a lot didn't happen, and so she stopped, and she'd love to do it again, and
That was a big deal for a lot of years, I know.
all of us would love to support her in that, and there too was special. There have been a couple people that have, like have gone on to do great things, singing at the Met and La Scala and all over. And I heard from more than one of them how sometimes performing as a job, people sometimes, especially with opera singers, they want to see if you make a mistake, or is he going to sound as good as he used to, or what have you, and it takes the joy away from it sometimes. Even though they make a lot of money there, they get their fame there, and that's their career, some of these people. But to do what they would say about a concert like that, when it just was fun, right? That's wouldn't it be nice if it were all like that, and still make money, and still, I mean, sure, you could judge people, say, but like the fun, it's got to be there. Like this is so much fun. So looking forward to this. I didn't know I was going to be watching myself. I think I watched myself more now than I have definitely in a long time. I'm not one to watch myself or listen to myself. So thank you for letting me do it. I in a way, I think there's no time. It was like there's so much more I want to do. I already did that, but we could always obviously learn and enjoy, and it's interesting.
I really wanted to do the video aspect of this show because I wanted to be able to present photos and videos, so as we're showing here today. I wanted to be able to share that valuable history with the audience, and typically a podcast is just audio, but I could have done it that way. But I just think there's so much in seeing the photos and the videos of different stages of your career, all along.
Right.
I think it's cool.
It's very cool.
Yeah. So let's take a break for a moment from your performances, and let's talk about Filippo, the life coach. That's an interesting term. Maybe I need a life coach. I think I do. How did you start this chapter of your life? And was the influence to start your podcast, Life Changes? How does that tie in together?
Yeah, exactly right. Well, the performances, it all ties together. So backstage, again, on the plane, with the band, I like I was saying about you earlier when we were talking before the show, being musical director isn't just being musical director. You are, you manage, you're especially being Italian, you're the family man, you take care of everybody. I know you, right? So it's a full-time job and a half. So with me, again, with some of the performances that are out there, I know what conversations were had before those happened at the Milwaukee Festival. Oh my gosh, some of the drama that I mean, it's ultimately it's all good, but life is life. So people are having real life experiences while they have to fly out and do a show, but something happened at home and they're not there, and so or who had a fight before they left, and so the conversations I would have, and I'd even get called at the hotel room by the manager of one of the performers, and could you come talk to so and so? And I'm like, sure. And I'm supposed to perform that day too. It's not like, it's just their show. And so I'd get dressed and go down to breakfast when I wasn't planning on eating or whatever, you just to meet with the performer and say, how can I help? What can I do? And what's going on? And so it was something that I just did. It was all in a day's work. And eventually people started saying, I'm sorry?
That's interesting. Yeah.
So eventually people would be calling me and I was happy to do it. But when I saw that it started taking up so much of my time and I enjoyed it, I thought, well, what if I also did this for the times when I'm not singing, when I'm not, working on a project, I'll do that in between. And so then I was doing that parallel. And then the show came from exactly that. The conversations that I get to have with some people, I would often say, boy, if you would share this with people, you're not the only one that feels this. And I couldn't reveal, the other performer or the other business owner or that head of that company feels the exact same way. And would you share this publicly, right? So that people know we're not alone. And if we know we're not alone, and if somebody's figured it out, then maybe that'll help me too. So these kinds of things, it was just almost a no-brainer.
Yeah. I could see how it flowed right into that other career for you. Yeah.
And kind of like your career, like you started with the accordion and then it grew with your own band and the recordings, and then of course the record company, and then my gosh, you've done so many people's weddings and funerals and graduations and baptisms, and you've been part of people's lives. And the thing is, though, it's not just the music, it's not just the show, but on the way to the show, how many people did you talk to about getting the show or doing it right, and what kind of songs and what we're going to want? You get to experience people in a way that people normally don't, because they let their guard down because they're talking to you for something that they want. I remember having an experience with a multi-billionaire who I spent time with because I was preparing a show for his people, right? And he wanted this, he wanted that. And so what came up were stories that he didn't share necessarily in the boardroom, right? It was, and especially Italian American thing. And because we're I would have, and then because I am the performer and I'm being flown out for this, then I'm seated at the head table with this one, so the conversations that happen there, they're not conversations that people normally have every day. So yeah. I'm not going to reveal what they said, but if I can get one of them to come on a show and share in that way, and so many people have shared some amazing stories. I hope someday, after 878 episodes so far, I hope that, especially now with AI, we might be able to curate some of those really special moments that are at the foundation of humanity.
Yeah.
At the core of who we are.
Yeah. I have a picture I want to show the audience. This is you giving a speech, I guess. What is that in the background? All kind of different companies. Where this?
Oh, I was trying to figure out myself for a moment.
Okay.
That would be Heaven and Earth Oasis, and it's a veterans foundation.
Oh, nice.
Where they support veterans with complementary alternative healing.
Okay.
Yeah,
I wondered about that. That was I saw a few pictures of you with giving speeches and the podium in that form rather than in a tuxedo singing. Yeah, for sure.
In a way it's different, and in a way it's the same. Vito, I had an experience once, especially when I was singing so much. Talk about full orchestra. I had full orchestra arrangements. And you could probably tell this story for your life better than I, but full orchestra arrangements. And then I had 15-piece arrangements and 7-piece arrangements and 5-piece arrangements and 3-piece, right? And then piano scores for those classical pianists that like to read music and play it what's on the screen, which is different from all the other charts. And so I had all, and I thought, oh, so much music, so much music. One of these days I'm going to organize it. I think it took me about a week, but I had all of the music spread all over the floor in my living room, and everywhere else, on the piano and on the table. And so then I started organizing and putting it all together, and I noticed something. When it came right down to it, the songs that I had the most arrangements for, they were not like thousands of songs. There were maybe thousands and thousands of papers, but they weren't thousands of songs. They weren't even hundreds. I have a catalog of hundreds and maybe even thousands of songs, or maybe even more. But the music that I was doing, and I thought, well, wait a minute, I haven't really been doing all that many songs. And then I thought to myself, what have I been singing all this time? Like, I have spent so much time thinking I was doing so much, so many shows, so many bands and orchestras and so many, but really it's just this many songs, just different arrangements, and I looked at all the songs and I started to realize a lot of the songs were Italian, but even if they weren't Italian, they were either about love, about caring, the Italian songs that were written about the moon or the ocean, but it was the love of. And I thought, isn't that interesting? It's all about humanity. It's all about love. It's about family. It's about, and my stories, the different, the catalog of stories that I had that I told, and I would have them all written out. And the stories, they were all about kindness and funny, but they had a moral. So I thought, here I think I've been singing about so many things, but I've only been singing about love for each other, about love for the planet, the moon, the stars, whatever, and caring. And the stories are all about caring. And so what am I doing if I distill it? I'm singing it, or I'm talking about it, or I'm podcasting about it. It's all the same thing.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You wouldn't do well in the opera world because most operas are about love and tragedy.
Yes. Well, also, when I was singing opera, I noticed, and I even had a leading role in a small opera, a small Mozart opera, and a minor role in another one in a small opera company and all that. Once I got on stage, like, I get nervous. I've gotten nervous. It's like I was one of these people that got really, really nervous, but I wanted to do it. There was just no if, and, or buts about it. It's what I wanted. I'd get nervous. But once I got out there, I wanted to stay out there. You can't do that in the opera world. You sing your part and you leave. And this is wrong. Yeah. This is wrong. Once I'm out, I want to stay out. So I thought I should do something else.
Yeah, there you go.
I'll do my own show.
You did the right thing. I'd like to play a short video, one of my favorites. I dug this up on YouTube, and it's kind of interesting. Malafemina. You singing Malafemina. And this was written in the
Which I didn't want to do.
Yeah.
Because I don't like the connotation.
Well, you don't like what?
The connotation. I didn't like it.
Evil woman. And it's a funny story. I'll tell you a funny story. I played, you mentioned about playing so many weddings and parties. We figure that in 49 years, our band played almost 4,500 weddings. So played
Wow.
a lot of weddings. And one of the things that I'll say is, you mentioned about, the experience with people and the different things. I said, well, I was so lucky because when you play someone's wedding, you're seeing people at their best. Even the most miserable guy is going to be happy on his daughter's wedding day because he wants his friends and his family to have a good time, whatever. The only exception maybe would be when there was a divorced couple, and sometimes, if it wasn't a pleasant kind of situation, you could feel that tension in the room, kind of thing. Happened rarely, Most of the time I was with people when they were happy and all at their best, and I just felt always happy about that, because you're with people, or any other party, an anniversary party or a graduation party. Everything is a celebration. And that's what I made my living basically doing. And, the other thing with Mala Fanmana, so the story is, I'm playing this song, most people, unless they're Italian and really understand the lyrics, understand the meaning of the words, don't understand that the title of this song is really Evil Woman, right? And so we're playing this wedding, and it was probably at least half Italian. And this guy comes up to me. I mean, he was so angry, and he looked at me and he said, "What are you doing playing this song at a wedding?" And I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." I said, "I didn't know you people. It's a beautiful song. The song itself is a beautiful song, and people love it. Not 90. I mean, everybody I know loves the song.
Yeah.
But when you start to look at the meaning of the song and how it came about and things, it means evil woman, and it's not the right thing to play at a wedding."
But you're right. People will request it even at weddings because they like the song, and it was requested for this, and and I do get it in the sense that they have good connotations to it, and they might not know the meaning, and they might not care. I'm a word person, so I had a personal, but once I thought it makes people happy, let's do it.
Let's do it. So let me show this little video here.
Femmina, tu sei una malafemmina, chi stocchia fatta chiagnere, lacrime infamità. Femmina, se tu beggi una vipera, m'indussecata l'anima, non posso più campare. Femmina, si dolce come zucchero, ma tu sta faccia d'angelo te serve per ingannar. Femmina, tu sia più bella femmina, te voglio bene e t'odio. Pozzo scordare.
Awesome. Nice job with that. So I love it. Love it. Love it.
Nice.
Beautiful voice. I love it. Yeah. And so tell us about your experience working for a Fortune Top 3 company and later owning a boutique entertainment agency. So you've been a business guy all your life too. Huh?
Well, I left the company. So there's so much I could say, and so much that I've learned, which actually again dovetails nicely back into why life coaching, because to get to experience people at different so opposite from wedding, right, would be in the corporate world, where especially at the time it was dog eat dog, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And where arguably one can say we were trained to do that, and we were pitted against each other in sales when I was in sales when I started, and how we were made to believe certain things. So I say all of this because I have had a certain consciousness. As a kid, I was bullied a lot, and so I was quiet a lot, and I also listened, and I absorbed, and I kind of sensed, like I could sense danger and what people were thinking and who's going to bully me and that kind of stuff. And that heightened sense of awareness in the corporate world, to be bullied by a manager or a boss, or and then to know, as I had learned, how bullied people are usually bullied themselves, and so they're just passing it on. So when I became a manager, I didn't want to pass that on to the people that worked for me, and so and then I'd have managers or my boss go around me to bully the people that worked under me, quote unquote, because I wasn't doing it. Yet I said, they're doing their job. You don't do that. I'm the in between. You don't do that. It just doesn't happen. And then when I would hold people at the task, then I had one manager literally break down and cry and say, my job has been threatened and it has nothing to do with you. And I took a moment to acknowledge that they were having a hard time. And then I'd say, I like, this happened many times. How does it feel? Well, it doesn't feel good. Then why are you doing it to me?
Yeah.
And why are you wanting me to do it to them? Like, it's got to stop somewhere. And I literally said, the buck has to stop, and it stops here.
Yeah.
I eventually had to leave because the corporation was bigger than I am, right? And the culture was bigger than I am.
Oh, absolutely.
Right? But the experience that I got and what I learned is truly priceless, and I'm grateful for it. And sadly, the boutique agency was around the Italian festivals and was around Italian singers and performers, where I recognized that the people putting on the festival, a lot of times they had positions to fill, right? They needed good musicians. And also I recognized that there were musicians like myself who were working, but I started to recognize, I'm just a commodity to them, and it's not something that they could technically have every year, right? Because you can't have the same person, although many festivals had us a lot, and that was great. But the bigger ones, the smaller ones, sometimes them too. But I would say to them, I was there 2 years in a row. Why don't you get somebody else?
That's right.
And they're like, yeah, but people like you, or people love you. And I'd say, yeah, but this person, you'd love them, they'd love him too, or her. And then I'd go do something else. I was one of the only ones with that mentality, Vito.
Yeah.
And I have to say that we lost something, because that corporate mentality that I was talking about made its way into all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And So there were Italian singers. Like obviously I didn't do opera, as you can hear in what I'm doing, and obviously their music I didn't do, but there were people that felt I was competition, and I used to say, listen, when Frank Sinatra was famous, Dean Martin was famous, Tony Bennett was famous, and Jerry Vale, and yes, maybe there was more need for Italian music at the time, or Italian American, but I thought they supported each other.
Yes.
They helped each other, at least from what we could tell. They'd promote each other. And I'd say, let's not worry about whether I get this gig and you don't have it. Let's see how we could both do it. Or let's try and put on an Italian festival of music. Let's all do one, right? And not everybody was like this, but we also were so busy trying to get ahead or make sure we got, because it was the pool of festivals was less and less and less. Yeah. that they couldn't have all of us singers, but I really felt that we could have supported each other more. And it's not like I have a regret, because that was the time, or that was me, and maybe I was wrong about that, but I feel like more and more, whether it's in music or shows or business, I feel like we could be thinking more of how can we support each other more. Because at the end of the day, we get to this point where you're doing a podcast and I'm here doing a podcast, and I'm not singing as much anymore. I'm doing lots of other things that I enjoy, and it's great and all of that. So I don't know if I'm going to be singing a lot again, but that was the time for that. This might be the time for this. Let's support each other. You are on my show. I'm on your show. Who else? I've introduced people to your show. You've introduced people to my show. Who else can we support? Sure. And I have to say, you I won't mention the name, but you worked with somebody that was in Los Angeles trying to make a name for himself. And one day I sat him down and I said, listen, this is who I think you could talk to. This is who I think you need to, where you need. And at the end of our conversation, he stopped me and he says, who are you? And I looked at him like, what do you mean? He says, I've been doing this so many years. Nobody has taken this kind of time to share with me how I could do better in my career. And I'm not saying this to boast. I was actually saddened. And I thought, why not? Like, where's everybody else?
Right.
Where are we? I know you. You're that guy. You're that guy that took my record and started selling it across the country without even knowing me. You are that guy. Your wife is that woman. I'm speaking to the preaching to the choir here, but it gives me pleasure to be able to share this in this way, in the hopes that we can give that a little bit more consideration. Those of us who can support each other when we can't always.
Yeah. Well, Filippo, I have you did a PBS special, and I have a short video I'd like to share with the audience of you singing. Let me play this one here. It's here we go.
Can the ocean keep from rushing to the shore? It's just impossible. If I had you, could I ever ask for more? It's just impossible. And tomorrow, should you ask me for the word, somehow I'd get it. I would sell my very soul and not regret it. For to be without your love is just impossible. I would sell my very soul cannot regret it. For to be without your love is just impossible.
And that was for, is that for PBS? Is that what that was for?
That was Ava's PBS show. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ava
and that was her
Franchi.
when they cut to the young lady, blonde lady. That was Ava, right?
That was Ava. Right.
That's what I
Ava
thought.
Franchi.
Yep. And so I have another. I want to show this video first, or not this photo.
Yeah.
This is in
Nice.
Milwaukee, right? I think so.
In Washington D.C. at NIAF.
Oh, at NIAF. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. That as far as I know, that's the last time. What's that?
You have quite the crew there with you.
I have to say that was the last time that Jerry Vale, as far as I know, sang in public. God rest his soul.
Okay.
I think it was actually Dina that got him to sing, Dina Martin.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, Tony LoBianco and Vince Ferragamo and what's his name? Berra was in the audience. Bunch of people, and I wanted to bring him up on stage. What was his name? Yogi Berra? Is that his name?
Who?
Yogi Berra? Was that-
Yogi Berra,
Yeah.
the baseball player.
Yes. The coach. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, he was player first, then a coach.
First. Yes. Yeah.
That
He
was
was
a while back because I think he's been gone for quite a while. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a while back.
That's
Well,
right.
it's
So-
a while back for all of them.
I have a short video of you guys here. Let's watch this here. Sing.
Well, thank you. I want to tell Jerry, we play your music all day long on the music of your life. We play Jerry Vale. I can't tell you how many times a day.
That's very nice. Now, what's the song you play the most?
All day long.
I'll be live.
All day long.
Maybe Dina will sing a song.
Everybody loves somebody sometime.
Everybody falls in love somehow. Something in your heart just told me my sometime is
That was pretty cool.
Very cool. It's very cool for me. Yeah. Yeah.
That's funny. And so you did a song and sang Tanya Mem.
Oh yeah, Tanya Meme. Yes. Yes.
Yes. Tell us about her and about what we're going to see here.
She was on a hit show here in Los Angeles at the time, and I'm trying to think. She came from another show. In any event, I was doing Filippo and the Chef with Richard Lombardi, and we got to know her through that. We interviewed her, and then she came up on stage. Lovely, lovely person, and just had a really good time. No mishaps on that one. The music was. I don't know if I'm singing or what I'm doing, but I remember it going. It was beautiful, lovely.
Let's watch this.
I'm singing.
I had to laugh because, she had one hand on your one shoulder and then she used her other hands rubbing your other shoulder. And I'm thinking, how the heck did you hold it together singing?
I stopped and said, I love my life. That's how I did. Exactly. Like I said, no mishaps. That was brilliant. She was lovely. And that song, interestingly enough, it's funny because Corey Pesatoro's in town,
Okay.
in Los Angeles, and he's got a show, and he's asked me to sing that song because he loves the chord changes, but that we've sung it many times together in Milwaukee, but that song I learned as a child.
Yeah.
It's an old song, right? And the fact that something that my parents brought with them from Italy, that they shared with me, that I keep sharing and keep enjoying throughout my life. Kind of like Dick Contino said, I recorded that 61 years ago. Well, I'm not saying that, but the fact that that has been with me all my life is quite interesting.
Mm-hmm. That's great. That's great. I have one more video that I'd like to play, but before I do you have anything you'd like to add in the way of maybe a real highlight of your career or whatever? I mean, maybe something about your life coach or your podcast, Life Changes, anything you'd like to say about any of those before we do this last video?
Well, I am of the mind that I'm creating. Like when you were reading your bio, and like I said, I've just shortened it now. I think I actually sent you a bio, and it was actually just a couple sentences, because it gets long in the sense that I have many interests, and I have some interests right now that I look forward to sharing with you someday, and who knows, maybe we'll be out there in a big way. But I like creating, and I in a way like the artisans of our parents' town. Did your parents come to America?
My parents were both born in America.
Okay.
All of my grandparents came from Italy.
All of your parents. Okay. So like them, they had artisans, right, who used to create. And so they just kept on creating until the day they died, a lot of them, right? I know a 94-year-old jeweler, and every day he goes to work and he makes fine jewelry. And I ask him, like, what are you doing, or why are you doing it still? And he said, what do you mean still? I'm going to do this until I'm 200. So he said to me, you stay well, because I want you to be there too when I'm 200, and keep doing, keep creating. And so I feel like there have been many, many highlights, many, many special moments, but I also am grateful that I feel like there will be many, many more highlights and many, many more special moments.
And I'm sure there will be, and I wish you all the best. And you've had a great career, but you have a lot ahead of you, I'm sure. You're a mover and a groover too. You don't just sit around waiting for the things to fall in your lap, which is a big thing. Not everybody understands that, but all right. Well, let me play this. This is a familiar tune. We'll play this here for the audience.
In Napoli. What am I singing over here? I'm Sicilian. Maestro, one more time. In Sicily, where love is king. Come on, we were all going to sing it together. When boy meets girl, here's what they sing. When the moon hits your eye like a big pizza pie, that's so beautiful. When the world seems to shine like you've had too much wine. Bells are ring, ting-a-ling-a-ling, ting-a-ling-a-ling, as we sing Vita Bella. Hearts to play, tippy-tippy-tay, tippy-tippy-tay, like a gay tarantella. If you still kiss your goil after garlic and oil, that's amore. If you call her your pet, though she's shaped like spaghetti, you're in love. When you walk in a dream, but you know you're not dreaming, signore. Scusami, but you see, back in old Sicily, that's amore, that's amore, that's amore.
That was good. You had a lot of people singing along with you too.
And in the rain too. That's what music can
They all
do.
had umbrellas. That was funny. Yeah. Hey, at least they were sitting there and in the rain, because I've been in a situation in many festivals where you get a rainy day and people just don't show up. It's just it's so sad because you're all fired up and ready to perform, and then you get 10 people in an audience because it's raining like the Dickens out there. So it was nice that at least they brought their umbrellas with them.
And the thing about musicians, like even though they get paid, if it rains, some of them sometimes they still want to do it. Like they still wish they could have done it, right?
And that's right. And in fact, I've been in a situation where because there's nobody in the audience, and then the musicians start taking off and jamming into something like really crazy, really, yeah, that's what happens because they want to play.
That's the heart. That's the soul.
We came to play, right? We came to play. That's it. That's right. Well, Filippo, it's been wonderful having you on the program. I appreciate your time. I appreciate your talent. I appreciate everything that you do with your podcast, with your life coaching. And believe me, if I need coached, I'm calling you.
You're doing good.
I'm pretty uncoachable at this point in life. Just ask my wife. Oh my goodness. Well, it's been fun. And like I said, I appreciate you being on. You take care. Ciao. Good to see you.
Thank you so much.
All right.
All the best to you and your show and your family, Jojo.
Thank you. Same to you. And there you go. Another episode of Memories of a Musician with Filippo Voltaggio, a wonderful singer. And he, of course, multifaceted, talented young man. He does so many things. And I understand that because, he mentioned the word creative, and he's a very creative guy, and there's it's an endless rainbow. It's like we have 12 tones in music that we use, and how many millions of songs have been created with 12 tones. That's it. And so the possibilities are endless. And so wonderful to see him because we had a lot of fun together and a lot of festivals and things. So looking ahead to next Wednesday, February 4th, be sure to tune in to meet my special guest, a great musician, music educator, and a highly in-demand bassist, Justin Bendel. Equally at home as an orchestral musician, soloist, and teacher, Mr. Bendel maintains a successful studio of 30 students alongside his full-time career as a professional bassist. Justin joined the faculty of Westminster College as an adjunct instructor of double bass and electric bass guitar in 2017 and Chatham University in 2022. Over the span of his vast career, he has shared the stage with world-class artists ranging from Chris Style, Yo-Yo Ma, Andrea Bocelli, the Moody Blues, Al Jarreau, Michael W. Smith, the Eagles, to the legendary Ray Charles, Elaine Stritch, Renee Elise Goldsberry, and fellow Pittsburgher native Billy Porter. Most recently, Justin traveled to Japan with the Ray-Vons as the band's bassist, thus marking his international debut. The podcast will be streamed live on Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. Justin Bendel on Memories of a Musician at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesday, February 4th. Thank you very much and have a great evening.